Hello everyone, this is Snipe Trading and today is Wednesday, May 5th, and I'll be going over my recap for today. So today I made a total of $918, trading a total of 7 stocks. And today's topic will be fail flags and descending triangles. So let's get to it and start from the top here with my biggest win on ISNS. So ISNS, those a few entries here. If you would like a little bit more riskier trade, this was a nice decent entry on this flag break here. And then there's a few inverted cup and handles signals here that you could take on the 5-minute break to the 15-minute chart. But I missed all those signals, and this was a 1 hour hourly reversal. And you can see here, I think the 882 was the signal. You can see, we zoom in, 882 was the main support here. And the fail flag was around this area. So it had a little spike here on this fail flag. It attempted to break. That's where I stopped out a fourth of my shares, and right when it stopped me out a little bit there, I saw it kind of washed out, and it crashed on the 882 break. And from there it washed almost 80 cents from my entry, and I covered majority of it at 828, and my latest coverage was 813 here. I went ahead and tried to re-add on the small pop here when it was forming a lower high, but it ended up holding a higher low here, which got me a little bit worried. So I went ahead and took all my ads and the 300 shares that I had left originally, and took it all off here and at the 845 break or so. And from there it went higher, tested 880, which was the original support level, as resistance, and from there it started to fade back down again to the lows $8. But that was a nice big win there on ISNS for a $678 win. In some cases, I usually take most of these off around here, and I'll look to add if it does break a bear flag for continuation lower. But what ended up happening here was this move was quite extended, so it was anticipated for a retest on a 15-minute chart, which is this 15-minute gray line here. It's a 15-minute chart, as well as the support there on 882. And once that got rejected, you can re-short on this pop if you feel to like you want to take a short there. But yeah, that was a $678 win on ISNS. And you can see it was a nice little triangle, descending triangle, and it was a break of that. You'll see a few more examples as I go through this. So CDEV was another descending triangle, fell flag type move. Here you can see it was extended, and if you draw this flag line here, you can see there's a fell flag there, slight pickup in volume. So when a flag fails like this, generally people that bought here are now sellers, so that increases supply. And then you can see this has 477 as a level here. And once I saw this broke, I went ahead and took 5,000 shares at 476. And this was also, you know, a inverted cup and handle on the 15-minute chart. You can see there, took that short there, and it covered on the 30 minutes there. Typically, when a 15-minute chart breaks, the best target is the hourly chart, which was all the way down at 455. But I ended up taking it off here on the 30-minute 90 EMA, which is the yellow line here. It ended up bouncing, and potentially that could have been a bear flag for another entry point. and potentially carry you back down to the hourly. But sometimes you just kind of hit and run and move on. But had I kept watching, another entry would have been this bear flag once it broke in this little bit of trend line here. So another entry would be that spot, risking this high, and you can take it for another leg down. But this was a $265 win here on CDEV. Next trade, IBIO. So this was also another descending triangle support break. As you can see, there was a few moments here where had a nice inverted cup and handle signals that was forming right there. That was one spot. Inverted cup and handle, you can stop there at 190, short at 185, so it's a 5-cent risk. And potentially you can take some profits at VWAP, 5-minute target, or the 15-minute target, which was at 175. And that would have been maybe a 15-cent move from your initial target there. So that's isn't a bad risk reward there, but I have missed that trade. It was kind of early in the morning. There was another potential kind of hive day fell here. You can see hive day, high volume, got rejected off there. You can look for inverted cup and handle off that rejection. Can potentially short there off that 186 break for this move down. So I missed all those trades, but what I did find was this trade here on IBIO. So I had this line drawn, and you can see again another fell flag, a few fell flag there. So again, if a flag breaks off this trend line and doesn't look like buyers are in control, those buyers here, this big green bar, they are now sellers. So that increased selling pressure. So what I saw here was a 161 level that was playing. So initially I saw a few of these fell flags first, where you can see that these trend line, it broke a little bit there. So when I saw those, I went ahead and started a few shares short. And then I did panic cover on this fell flag, since if it does work, it will trend higher. So I did cover just a little bit there, and I re-added when this fell flag went below this support again at 161, and once it break, that's where I covered my shares. So covered my shares there, and there's another potential leg down from that breakdown there, and you could take a potential short here, risking these highs for that inverted cup and handle, or the bear flag, and then maybe take some more profits along the way there. But it was a small trade, $112 win from this trade. Next trade is ATOS. So ATOS definitely was a kind of a almost like midday volume pickup out of nowhere. I think it might have been if you look in the daily, it might have been the daily 90 EMA test and hold. So clear some lines here. So when you see the daily chart is extended, you always want those consolidation days, and when it retests the 90 EMA, which it did today, and that's where maybe you see those buying pressure get bought up by either swing buyers or maybe swing shorts covering on the daily 90 EMA there. So that's might explain the buying pressure along here. But what I did see was potential spot here where you can go long for that cup and handle break, potentially. But I did find a short on this inverted cup and handle. You can see the extension on the 1-minute chart, little inverted cup and handle. I took it short there. It wasn't the best risk reward, so I took it off fairly quickly because it tested the 5-minute 90 EMA. Because it was it wasn't the best reward. So you can see the reward is here. At most I'm getting is a 1-to-1 for my risk to reward. So I took it off pretty early in case it bounced off this, which it did momentarily, but had it held a higher low and continue higher, you can see it might break out a little more. But yeah, the spot to play here would have been maybe a descending triangle here. Could take a short break there. Target off VWAP, bounced, and maybe an hourly test at 235 or so. But that was ATOS. It's just a short little scalp there for a $32 win. Next trade is DPW. So DPW, it had another. I did attempt to buy a long position here. I was up a bit here, but I think I was trying to look for the bigger picture. So there was a, you can see a little higher low here starting to form. It has tested the hourly chart, and it broke out here, and for some reason I think the AMAX server was having problems, so it halted a lot of AMAX or New York Stock Exchange, and after the halt resumed, it actually gapped down, and I had to take a loss there. But pretty much this was another fell flag that happened, and later on you can also see that this support level right here, also another descending triangle that you can potentially short off, and once that broke, test it as a resistance, and it had a nice little move there. That was DPW. This was a $39 loss. Next trade was KAR. So KAR also, so this was definitely extended pretty much the whole day. Didn't really test the hourly chart at all, and it may be due to higher institutional ownership. But what I saw here was a short. I tried a short here because it was extended. I was more short bias, and you can see it might have been a little inverted cup and handle here starting to form. So I started some short there, and I ended up covering when it broke this flag line. And once it did, it went higher from there. So that's a $52 loss. No harm done there. There was a potential inverted cup and handle here forming, so that was a potential spot. Retested and went lower. That was CAR, and the last trade I'll go over is CHMA. So CHMA is definitely a hard ticker, and it looks like a lot of it is high institutional ownership. I think there was about like 70% institutional ownership, and those are a lot trickier to trade because I think anytime a stock gaps up, institutional are selling into retailers. So it might explain, these big volume bar where institutional own most of the float, and they're just unloading it as much as they can into retailers. So it's a lot more difficult, but what I saw here was a level here at 401 or so. You can see 401 a few times. I went ahead and took a short there. It bounced off this level at 397. I took another short. It went to a low of 391. I didn't take off any there, but it could have been a nice little win there. But I actually took a loss here on that trade there. Think, yeah, I started another position here towards the end of the day, and the reason being the hourly. You can see the hourly is creating an inverted cup and handle, and I was watching it for it to break the 380 level for the hourly reversal, and potentially that can fade back down to the daily chart. But it ended up holding pretty much throughout the close here, and I took it pretty much a break even here. But my bias was, I think initially there's an inverted cup and handle here. It had a little wick bounce recover, so I had to stop out there. And I tried a few more times here, which just took off for break even. It ended up breaking down here off the hourly 90 MA, but ended up recovering. So we'll see where it goes from there for tomorrow. But I took a $77 loss there on CHMA. Another ticker I was watching, it was ATNX. So this was definitely another hard ticker to trade. Definitely a lot harder. But I was watching this. I think it was overextended here in the morning, and I was kind of warning, viewers that this is not a buy spot. It is totally extended on the 50-minute chart and off VWAP, so it needs a pullback and then another retest of the higher days and a higher low, and then maybe this is a spot to buy after it has corrected. But this was a fail flag. From this flag, as you can see, some volume picked up there on that fail flag, and potentially you can look for inverted cup and handle to short. So that was that trade. I was also watching this area here, the line that I drew here, but I felt it was a little bit extended. I felt like it might need a little bit more consolidation and maybe another bounce off to VWAP and then another lower high. I felt this was a kind of extended move, but it worked out pretty well. So congrats if you took that. But had this kind of had another bounce and then maybe another lower high, I would definitely take that on a short. But I was definitely watching this for a level here, but that's a 10-cent risk there, so potentially you would have made some profits there. So that's all the trade that I have for today, total of 918. I was up over 1,000 at one point on ISNS. I did give it away because I still had 300 shares when I sold here. I had 300 shares left, and I added here, and I took away some of my profits there. But had I taken here, it would have been I think almost an $800 win on this trade. But yeah, that's all I have for today. And thank you everyone for sticking around. If you enjoy this content, be sure to hit the subscribe and like button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye guys.